Men mentality. All right? Oh, cool. Thank you. Got the little reel in there. I didn't do that. That's all Brad. Fishers of men mentality. So, honestly, I didn't know what I was going to be talking about tonight because I kind of forgot that I was going to be talking tonight last week. And so this got pushed out a week later. And the last 5 days, Fishers of Men has just been in my head. And so I didn't know what that was. I didn't know what that necessarily meant. And so I just kind of dove into that. What is Fishers of Men? What importance does that have as a thought in my brain? Why is that so significant? Why am I thinking about that so much? So Fishers of Men is a mentality. Okay? Yes, there's a physical aspect of it. But if this is not in your mind, the physical part of it will not happen. So we want to have this mentality. So let's start in Matthew 4:18 and 22. Got that, Brad? Sweet. I didn't bring anything up. All right. And Jesus, walking by the Sea of Galilee, saw two brethren, Simon called Peter and Andrew his brother, casting a net into the sea, for they were fishers. And he said unto them, Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men. And they straightway left their nets and followed him. And going on from thence, he saw other two brethren, James and son of Zebedee, and John his brother, in a ship with Zebedee their father, mending their nets, and he called them. And they immediately left the ship and their father and followed him. All right. So a lot of times we get to this part, and it kind of stops at Peter, kind of stops at John. You know, they were fishers, so it applied to them, right? And then he talked differently to the other disciples. But this fishers of men is something that every Christian is supposed to have in their mind. If you look at me, or I don't know if you can tell by looking at me, but I can tell you I'm not a fisherman whatsoever. I was the only kid in 4th grade on our field trip to not catch a fish behind the Natural Museum in Hot Springs. All right, they got called in for lunch, and I asked my teacher, can I stay out here while everyone eats lunch and try and catch a fish? And so for 30 minutes, I stayed out there extra trying to catch a fish. Didn't catch a fish. So I am not a fisher of fish. I can promise you that. But this mentality has to be stuck in my head of being a fisher of men. Okay, so although there were only 4 men specifically talked about this, it is the duty of all Christians to be fishers of men. So, but what does that actually mean? So, when somebody goes fishing, that means that they are intentionally going out looking for fish. No one fishes accidentally, right? I guess you can. I'm sure there's stories that everybody can tell that a fish just hopped in their boat and they weren't asking for it, right? Happens. But majority of the time, fishermen have an intention. That is their exact motive, is to go out into that water and catch fish. So that is in their mind. I'm going into this water to catch fish. So this fishers of men mentality, and Jesus is talking to Peter and his brother. He's saying, you once had an intention to look into the water, go into the water, and get fish. Now I want you to look into the world and get human beings. All right? That's what your job is going to be now. That's what your intention needs to be now. So being someone who is a fisher of men has intention. All right? It doesn't, there may be a few that just naturally have that go get it mentality. Like, I wouldn't say it's natural, probably. You would probably disagree. But we look at Brother Nathan. We look at some of those that are just true evangelists, right? That can bring the word into the world, and it's easy. Would you say it's easy? Brother Nathan? It's his job, all right? It's his job. He took the fishers of men mentality seriously. So, you've got to make it part of your job. That's a great point. Here's the worry that's happening that I see today. All right? And I'm not going to be negative, but I'm just going to point out a worry that I see in today in all people. is that there seems to be a selfishness rising. Would y'all agree with that? There just kind of seems to be a selfish attitude that's just easier to attach onto today. It's easier to promote to have a selfish mentality than it is to give up everything and think about people all day. Mainly because that's exhausting, but what's all hiding underneath is it's exhausting to think about yourself all day. So, in all people, I'm seeing this. I'm not just talking to the youth tonight. This is a youth takeover, and some of y'all maybe hop on board and say, yeah, this young generation, they're so selfish. All they think about is themselves, blah, 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 blah. But I see it mainly in adults, because that's who I deal with on a daily basis is adults. Adults like to talk about themselves a lot, I've found out. Kids just don't talk that much, it seems like. Adults, when they do talk, they have some kind of complaint about their knee, or they have some kind of complaint about finances, or, say again? Gas prices. Yeah, we all have that complaint. But we all have some kind of complaint, and we like to talk about it from our perspective. And very seldomly are we talking about or are we thinking about anyone else other than ourselves. And I'm not pointing to any individual in this room. I'm not saying that even as a church, I would say probably more percentage of this church doesn't think about themselves as often as the world does or other people do. But it's still a worry that I see in today that I do see feeding into the church. I have seen church people that grab onto this kind of mentality. So 2 Timothy 3, let's go to that. All right, so Paul has this big warning here, and he says, "This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good." All right? So, in the last days, people will begin to look like this. Right? And we could probably say for however many years in the past that people have always kind of looked like this, right? So that either tells you that the last days aren't something to take very seriously, or we've been in the last days for a long time. And it's something to really take seriously. It's something to really watch out. It's something to really grab onto and make sure I don't look like those people. So the first thing that it said is, in the last days, people will become lovers of self. I don't think anyone disagrees that today there happens to be some easement, some kind of spirit, vibe, whatever you want to call it, of just selfishness, where it's just easier to think about yourself more, and it's not as promoted to be as communal, right? Focus on yourself. Do you. Be who you want to be. All these kind of things. It's very focused on you, and you spend a lot of time with that thought process. But Jesus comes along to these men that are thinking about them. They're thinking about their daily livelihood. They're thinking about their daily job. They're just doing their job as they've been told to be fishers. And God's like, okay, I want to get your mindset off of what you think you need to do every day, and here's your new mindset. I want you to be fishers of men. Every day I want you to wake up and I want you to think of someone else other than you. I want you to have an intention to wake up and think of someone else other than you. You have to be intentional with this. Because if you wake up on a daily basis, you wake up selfishly, right? Every single person wakes up in this room, I guarantee you don't think of anyone else other than you in that moment that you wake up, right? That's probably 100% of people in this room. It's, I don't want to get up. I'm tired. I don't want to do this day. All this kind of stuff. And some of us check ourselves pretty quickly and say, but I need to because my kids. But I need to because I need to keep this house for all the people who are living underneath it. I need it. And then you change your mindset to someone else. But our initial mindset is ourself. So if we don't check that, if we don't watch out for that, it is easy to just have a selfish attitude. And I don't even mean it in like a super negative way. It's just you on a daily basis are thinking about what you have to do, and other people just kind of get thrown to the wayside. You don't even see people. How often can you walk down a street and you have no idea who you just saw? Right? Because you're not intentional on seeing those people. We're, as human beings, what I have found out is what you put in your mind is what you're going to be. And it's for anything. If you wake up every day and your day is going to suck that moment, your day is going to suck that moment. But if you wake up and you say, you know what? This is going to be a good day. You know what? Traffic's not that bad. You know what? That person in front of me is not that bad of a driver. He just forgot to turn on his blinker. That's all. That's it. If you have a different mentality, your day's not that bad. So if you have a mentality of, you know what? I'm going to start seeing other people. You magically start seeing other people. You magically start seeing, whoa, I'm not the only one living in this world. Whoa, I'm not the only one with problems. Whoa, people actually have worse problems than me. But you have to be intentional with that. You have to be an intentional person that goes out into the world and says, all right, I'm looking for people. You have to put that in your mind to start the day. So the hard fact of being a Christian is you not only have to see people, but you have to love people. If you want to be a Christian, you have to love people. And this is kind of the mindset that I see rolling in easier and easier. And it's something that we joke about, and it's a personality trait. It's all this kind of stuff, introvert, extrovert, all this kind of stuff. But here's a few attitudes that I see. And if some of you don't know what this word is, you can go ask the youth afterward. But there's memes that go across social media all the time. All right? Y'all know what memes are? Brother Bretzel, you know what a meme is? I didn't think so. All right? It's a picture. It's a picture with words on it. Yeah. You're used to reading those kind of books, right? I'm just kidding. All right. But memes are kind of the way that it seems like we communicate nowadays, right? We communicate through memes. We communicate through jokes. We communicate through humor and life humor and those kind of things. You don't communicate through memes? No? Okay. All right. But here's a few things that I see. And these are memes that I have seen Christian people pass along. And again, you may be someone in this room. I don't know. But here are some of the ones I see. The problem with some people is that they exist. Right? We see the passer longer of the memes. Okay? The older I get, the more I realize I hate people. All right, and this one has a picture of a mean cat face. And it says, I wish I was an octopus so I could slap several people at once. And last but not least, I'm not going to say that I hate all people. So this one's kind of positive. Just the ones that breathe. So, again, there's humor in that, right? There's laughter in that. But if we aren't careful, that can become your mentality. And we all, and I'm sure that people that pass these along, they love people more than these memes show. But this isn't something we need to promote. This isn't something that we need to give much attention to. Because I promise you, thoughts like these will feed into, because we're selfish people. And if you start feeding yourself with selfish thoughts and selfish lifestyle mottos, that's who you're going to be. And a Christian cannot have a problem with people that exist. A Christian, as they get older, should love people more than they did when they were younger, right? Not hate people. All right? They shouldn't want to be an octopus so that they can slap more people because of their stupidity. All right? They shouldn't want to hate people just because they're breathing. Those are dangerous thoughts. All right? And some of those thoughts are really real in some people's head, right? And that hate becomes action. And that action becomes disastrous. And that disastrous moment becomes really bad. And these kind of thoughts are not Christian. These kind of mentalities are not Christian. If you are a Christian, you have to love people. You have to love people. And it's not just here we go. Here we're talking about love. Love. Well, let's go to what's probably the most important verse and most important thing for us to live by. Matthew 22, starting in 34. So, we have some Pharisees that thought they knew what was up, and they had heard that he had put the Sadducees to silence. They were gathered together. Then one of them, which was a lawyer, asked a question, tempting him and saying, Master, which of these is the great commandment in the law? Jesus said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. Okay? So we have that commandment, which I've embedded into our kids as much as possible, because if it's the greatest commandment, we better know it. But there's another one that he attaches along to it that is just as important right after. And he says the second, which is just likened unto it, you can't do the second one without the first one. You can't do the first one without the second one. And the second is just like unto it, thou shalt love thy neighbor as who? Thyself. So some of us, like I said, this is just a reminder. This isn't something that you guys don't already know. But this is a caution that I throw out to a lot of people that may be in this room that have forgotten the greatest two commandments in the Bible, and that you've got to wake up every day ready to love people. Ready to love people. And people are complex, and people have different thought processes than you, and have different attitudes than you, and have different smells than you, and have different wordage than you, and all these kind of things. And these are the people that we have to love. The people that are different than us. The people that aren't as easy to get along with. That may not be in this room. We have to love the people that are out of this room, too. So if we have this attitude that we let into the church, and this just becomes personality traits, and that's what I've seen is it's like, well, I'm an extrovert, or what is it? Introvert. I'm an introvert. I don't like people. I don't like being around people. Okay, I get being anxious. I get being a little timid around people. I get that they're, not everyone is the same. But that does not give you an excuse to not love people. All right? If any excuse you have in your mind that's like, well, no, but I have this one really good excuse that allows me to hate people, that allows me to get away from people, that allows me to isolate from people. Isolation is not in the Christian playbook. Unless you're isolating into a prayer room to pray for someone else, right? Isolation does not work well for Christians. And I bet some of us learned that really hard in 2020, right? I learned it super hard. I realized how much I need people. And that makes me love them when I realize, wow, I could not live life without these people. And if you allow more of that into your heart, if you allow more of that into your mind, that you actually need people and you can't do it on your own, because believe me, if you think you can do it on your own, I guarantee you're living a life that already proves you can't, right? You're depressed. You're upset. You're lonely. You're angry. You're just angry at the world. Being angry at the world is probably not a whole lot of love for people then. I appreciate so many people that are in this room, everyone that's in this room. I appreciate these kids. Their love looks a little bit different to me than others. But you know what? I accept it as love. I need these kids. I need Coach. I need Crystal. I need Brother Tim. I need Brother B. I've needed Brother B in many, many, many scenarios. All right? When you realize that you need people, it should open up your heart to love others and realize, well, if I can't do it without people, then there's probably people out there that also can't do it without people. And what if they don't have people? They need to be reeled in and given someone. All right, fish don't want to be caught always. Fish give a little fight. Fish give a little tug against you. And you may have to put in some elbow grease. You may have to put in some of your own might to reel them in. You may have to be patient. That's the number one thing I've learned. Like I said, I waited an entire lunch period and the hour that we were supposed to be fishing. All right? I learned if you want to be a fisherman, you got to be patient. And if you want to be a fisher of men, you've got to be patient. You have really got to be patient, because not everyone you talk to is going to want to be reeled in. And not everyone you love is going to show you any love back. But that doesn't matter whatsoever. Like, where'd he go? Moved to the back. He said that's his job, to love people. And when it's your job, that takes away a lot of excuses, right? You don't like to do a lot of things that's a part of your job. And you still do them. Or you should. Or you're not doing your job very well. And I can tell you, if you're not loving people, you're not doing your job as a Christian very well. So, isolation, hating, and even this joke hating, we need to watch out for it. Okay, so Jesus and the disciples didn't fish for the prettiest fish always. They didn't talk badly of the ugly fish, right? They didn't shun the ugly fish. They didn't see a fish, grab a fish, say, no, that one's not good enough. I'm going to wait for another one. I'm going to wait for a better one. I'm going to wait for one that's a little easier to deal with. I'm going to wait for one that's a little bit easier to handle. It's a little prettier on the eyes. Jesus went to the divorced women, went to the promiscuous women, went and dealt with the ugly and shunned and mentally ill and greedy and selfish and thieves. He talked to everybody. He loved everybody. All right? That doesn't mean they didn't go after normal people too. I'm not saying only go after the ones that are clear they have problems. All right? Everyone needs Christ. Everyone needs Christ. Everyone needs to have hope in their life. And as we see more and more and more and more every day, there's a lot of hopelessness out there. So we've got to learn to ditch selfishness and start seeing people that need saving. And this is something that Coach was actually talking about the other day of saving people. And I don't know if that's what y'all were talking about in y'all's class, saving people. But it's all a mentality. If whatever mentality you want to put in your mind, if Christianity to you is just, I'm going to wake up and try not sin today, that's all your Christian walk is going to be. But if you wake up and you say, you know what, I'm going to try and save someone today. I'm going to try and fish after someone today. You'll realize that stuff starts happening. You'll realize that people start getting added to the church when you start fishing. A lot of us, we like to eat. A lot of us, we like to see things brought to the table. But just like in Scripture, we find that, the one that sits at the table, unless there's someone to go get the food, unless there's someone to go get the people, eventually you start to starve. And the Christian church is never supposed to starve. Because there are so many fish in the sea. Yes, that's a line for breakups if you're hurting tonight. But it's also a line for Christians that if one leaves, there's a bunch of fish in the sea. Don't mourn forever because one left. Don't try and fight all the time for ones that left. There's so many fish in the sea. But that all depends on if that's going to be our mentality. So here's the two things, the easiest things that are going to be in our mind tonight. All right, here's your mentality. Because being a Christian is difficult. Thoughts always running through your head. So how can we simplify all of this? And y'all probably have a shirt that says it. Y'all may have, this may be your screensaver, whatever. But go based on the first two greatest commandments. Love God and love people. If you wake up every day and you say, I'm going to love God and I'm going to love people, if that's your mindset, there's a lot of open doors for you. There's a lot more doors that are going to be open. There's a lot more people that are just going to magically catch your eye when you say, I'm going to love God and I'm going to love people. So if we can put this fishers of men mentality into our mind, that's what's going to change the church. It really is. If you see everyone as an opportunity, and no fish is too impossible, and no fish is unworthy of being caught, and just any fish that you see coming by is a chance to save someone's life. If that's your mentality, it's going to grow the church. And as every single one of us, Brother Bledsoe, are you a fisher of men? Yup. Brother Tim, are you a fisher of men? Yup. And all of you would agree. Yeah, of course they are. They're ministers. But it is the everyday people that have to be the fishers of men. Because y'all see the most people. Because we see the most people. All right? Every single day we see an opportunity to catch someone. I saw someone that's in this room tonight that may not have been in this room tonight if I didn't see him yesterday, right? We've got to open up our eyes and realize we're not the only ones living on the planet. And that mentality will be exhausting. That's the number one thing that I think all of us we fall into is dealing with people is exhausting, right? Dealing with people just takes so much mental space. They're too difficult. They're too complicated. But what I've realized in my life that when I think of myself all the time, I am absolutely exhausted. I have zero energy. And whenever you win someone to Christ or whenever you just have a good moment with someone, there's a little boost of energy. There's a little Red Bull shot. There's a little shot of energy that you didn't realize, oh, wow, that kind of gets me going. That kind of made my day. And the times that make your day normally revolve with someone else. Never are you just alone by yourself and just the most magical thing happens in the world. That hasn't happened for me. It always includes someone else. Right? And here's the last thing that we'll fall off on. If we want the church to grow, if we want this church to grow, if we want every church out there to grow, we've got to become fishers of men. Right? And you catch more fish when you love fishing. Right? If you love fishing, you're going to catch more fish than me. I promise you. Because I'm not going to go out into the lake because I don't love fishing. So if you love people and you love being a fisher of men and that becomes part of you, you're going to start reeling in a lot more people than the rest of us that are just sitting on a pew. It's going to happen. And I believe that everyone in this room is capable of it because everyone that Jesus talked to, y'all are in a lot better shape than them. It appears. Maybe not. And maybe you need to get reeled in. Maybe someone needs to give you a little attention. Maybe someone needs to look in the eyes and tell you that you're loved and you have purpose and you have something to live for. And if you feel that way in this church tonight, man, I hope we have some fishers in this room that have their eyes open and can see you. And if we don't see you, we have done our job poorly. But if we can all stand tonight and just let's kind of meditate on that thought how can I apply this mentality to my life more? How can I be a fisher? How can I be a better fisher of men? All right, you don't go out there the first time and be Bass Pro, do you? No. It takes practice. It takes getting to know the waters. It takes getting to know the right spots. It takes getting to know the right depths to throw it into, right? Practice. So if you see someone tomorrow and you're like, all right, I'm going to be a fisher of men, I'm going to try, and they shut the front door on you, do what Jesus said. Wipe your feet off and keep moving. There's more fish in the sea. There's a lot of fish in the sea. All right, well, let's pray. Let's finish tonight. In Jesus' name, God, I just want to keep it simple tonight. Lord, I feel that I have failed in my job for you. And I want that mentality to sink deep into my mind, to be a fisher for men. Lord, I want to grow your kingdom. I want to do the small part that I can do for your kingdom. So, Lord, open up my eyes to see the people that are hurting. Open my eyes to see the people that are lonely. Open my eyes to see the people that are struggling. But, God, just open my eyes to see people. Pray, God, that I would love them in a way that only you can love them. So help me develop that kind of love. Grow into that kind of love. And let patience be in everyone's mind. Let that be the fruit that continues to increase and increase and increase as we allow the Spirit to do that. Patience, 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 God. Pray that would go into everyone's mind tonight and that we would do you right. In Jesus' name, amen. There it is. All right. Thank you, guys. We'll see you on Sunday.